a slow, deliberate, deep breath to calm my nerves and ease the tension I can feel pulsing throughout my body. I step into the batter's box 1 foot at a time. It's the bottom of the ninth, there's 2 outs. Bases are loaded, and it's a full count. The pitcher looks in, shakes his head once, twice, a third time. Comes set, goes through his long, fluid motion, and releases the baseball. It is said that hitting is the hardest thing to do in sports. By looking at the time constraints that a hitter is under, we will gain some new information about how hard it really is. For those of you who don't know much about the game of baseball, you will learn about the process a hitter goes through while at the plate, while also gaining some appreciation for what a baseball player can do, and more specifically, what an MLB player does. For those of you that have experience with baseball and know about hitting, you will gain some new information that will help you better understand the timing process of this second nature response. Now, I have played baseball my whole life, and I have recently played the last 4 years of college baseball, 2 in Arizona and 2 in California. I have also played a little bit of semi-professional independent baseball in Grand Prairie, Texas. I have also done research on multiple websites and books to provide this information for you. So we will look at the timing of the perceptual mechanism, the decision process, and the time that it takes to complete a swing and hit a baseball. Now, a 90 mile per hour fastball takes roughly 400 milliseconds to reach home plate after it's released. To put this into perspective, the average blink of the eye is roughly 350 milliseconds to 400 milliseconds. So it happens in the blink of an eye. Now, the perceptual mechanism is responsible for organizing, processing, and interpreting visual, sensory information that will help to facilitate the appropriate response to the pitch. This is called seeing the ball. Now, about 75 milliseconds after the initial release of the ball, you begin to process the sensory information you're seeing. And over the next 125 milliseconds, a batter must appropriately estimate the height of the ball to within 3/4 of an inch. He must also appropriately estimate the inside or outside location of the ball to within 3 inches. And he must also assess the speed and spin of the ball while narrowing down his timing to 7 milliseconds. 2007, Graham Erickson, Sports Vision, last accessed October 22nd. Over this initial 200 milliseconds, the ball has traveled roughly half the distance to home plate, which is about 30 feet. And this is the most important part of the swing. Now, we just talked about the first 200 milliseconds. That makes up the perceptual mechanism. Now, we will begin to talk about the deciding to swing. The ultimate deciding factor is whether it's a ball or a strike. If it's a strike, you're going to want to swing. And this decision process takes roughly 50 milliseconds. The electrical impulses that have been built up during the perceptual mechanism are now ready to be catapulted throughout the body and initiate a swing. So now that we've decided to swing the bat, we're going to take a look at what it takes to set the wheels in motion. To hit the baseball and to complete a swing, it takes roughly 150 milliseconds. This is after some simple math. It takes 400 milliseconds for a 90 mile per hour fastball to reach home plate. We took 200 to do our perceptual mechanism and another 50 to make a decision to swing. That leaves 150 to actually complete the swing. So the swing starts at about 225 milliseconds to 250 milliseconds. This means the ball is still 20 to 25 feet away. Now, at about 15 feet, the ball becomes virtually invisible because the eyes and the brain can't work fast enough together to follow the ball anymore. September 27, 2007, Fox Sports Network, Sports Science, last access October 25th. The swing itself is started by the lower legs, and this accounts for about 25 milliseconds. And the hitter is not committed, which means he can check his swing. and if he decides to make a last millisecond decision to take the pitch. At about 100 milliseconds, the batter's hands are coming through the hitting zone, and this is when he is committed, and he does have to continue with his swing. And now contact is made, and here's a video of Steve Finley making contact off of a 90-mile-per-hour fastball. So he's loading, and this is when the ball is being released. Our perceptual mechanism begins, and he's assessing speed, spin, and location during this time. And then once he has made the decision to swing, he sends out his impulse, and he's getting ready to make contact. In the meantime, this is all slowed down, but only happens in 400 milliseconds, and that's a perfect swing. Now, so one of the hardest things to do in sports is hit a baseball. We have come to better understand the process that a hitter goes through when attempting to hit a baseball by examining the timing of the perceptual mechanism, the decision process, and the timing of the swing. Now, as the pitch is delivered, the crowd grows silent. And a moment that seems to last minutes flashes by in mere milliseconds. And the pitch is delivered, and contact is made, and the crowd goes wild. So, as Yogi Berra said, baseball is 90% mental. The other half, physical.